Translation error for segment 1, 500, model API error, 500. If, in the past, she had simply followed Joey Shaw's instigation, unintentionally leading to my death, I could have forgiven her. But from that reply onward, she was no longer my wife. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly, and Sarah Wong brought me breakfast, saying with a smile, "You can have some fish soup today to nourish yourself." I looked at her face and suddenly asked softly, "Have you slept with him?" Her smile instantly froze, and the color drained from her face. What are you saying?" Her voice trembled. "Have you slept with Joey Shaw?" I asked very softly, but it felt like a knife. She was momentarily speechless, her eyes darting around. "Al, are you misunderstanding something?" I coldly threw back the covers and got out of bed. "I just want to confirm, has my wife slept with another man?" She panicked and rushed to grab me. "Al, let me explain. It's not what you think. He's been harassing me. I'm asking you, have you?" I roared, my eyes bloodshot. Sarah Wong was in tears. "Yes." The air fell silent. I nodded, my voice as faint as my last breath before death. "Then don't come to the operating room, or I'm afraid I won't be able to stop myself from killing you before the anesthesia wears off." I walked to the hospital room window, pushed it open, and the cold wind rushed in. The softest part of my heart had been completely scraped away, leaving only a barren wasteland. I glanced back at her. She was still standing there, the hem of her clothes fluttering in the wind, her eyes filled with shattered pride and regret. Too bad it was too late. Too late. "Al, it's just a pre-op MRI. It won't hurt, and it will be over soon." Sarah Wong gently took my arm, her voice as soft as a dream. "Okay." I nodded, a quiet smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. She didn't notice that the doctor sitting in the corner of the waiting room wearing a lab coat was Franklin, my forensic friend, in disguise. He slipped a special micro-injection from his sleeve into my hand. "Inject this, and your pulse will stop for 30 seconds, your breathing will slow down, and you'll appear near death. It will look like a sudden death." I gripped the needle tightly and whispered, "Let's begin." The lights above the examination table were blinding, and Sarah Wong stood behind the glass window, watching me being pushed into the scanner, a faint smile on her lips. At that moment, she must have thought that I had really come to my senses. I pressed the plunger of the syringe, and the drug rushed into my veins. My heart leaped, and I felt like I was being pulled into an icy sea. The monitor beeped shrilly. The doctor exclaimed, "Cardiac arrest. Resuscitation. Get Dr. Wong over here." 10 minutes later, I was pronounced dead. Patient Alan, male, 29 years old, died today at 2:37 p.m. due to sudden cardiogenic arrest before the surgery. Resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful. Sarah Wong rushed into the emergency room and saw my cold face. She collapsed to her knees. No, he was just smiling and talking to me. He couldn't be dead. She threw herself on me, hugging my body already covered with a white sheet, and cried hysterically, "Alan, I was wrong, please come back. You can scold me or hit me, anything, I really know I was wrong. You can make me do anything, just don't leave so quietly." Her tears soaked the white sheet, but I could only watch her weeping in the dark room behind the emergency room, my heart clenching. Not because of softness, but because the way she was crying was too much like a perfect actress. That night, a temporary funeral parlor/chapel was set up at the City General Hospital. White flowers and shrouds, funeral music playing softly. Sarah Wong, dressed in mourning, knelt before the memorial plaque, distraught. Joey Shaw sat beside her, comforting her softly. "Don't cry, he's gone." She turned to look at him, her eyes unfocused. He's really dead? Dead as a doornail." Joey Shaw smiled, his tone light. "We didn't do anything, he just died suddenly. It's a godsend. Do you remember what you said? Once he's dead, all the property and the house are yours." He reached out and placed his hand on her shoulder, his tone suggestive. "Sarah, let's start a new life, shall we?" Sarah Wong shuddered and shook off his hand, muttering, "Get away from me." Annoyance flickered in Joey Shaw's eyes. "What are you pretending to be, a a virtuous woman. You betrayed him a long time ago. He stood up and headed toward the medical office/staff lounge, saying he was going to get some sedatives. Sarah Wong knelt alone before the memorial plaque, trembling, repeating to herself, "I really didn't want you to die, Alan. I just thought you wouldn't leave." Just then, the large screen in the hospital's back office monitoring room lit up. A recording suddenly began to play automatically, broadcasting simultaneously over the hospital's public address system. It was a familiar male voice, with a wicked smile. "Sis, Al cooperated too well this time. If you want to keep your position, he has to die." Then came Sarah Wong's cold and chilling voice. "Make it clean." The voices were clear, each word piercing to the heart. The hospital hallway erupted. Nurses ran around spreading the news, doctors exchanged glances, and the air became thick with tension. Joey Shaw had just walked out of the medical office/staff lounge, his face instantly turning pale. Who turned on the broadcast? In the funeral parlor/chapel, Sarah Wong froze in place the moment the broadcast ended. She slowly looked up, her eyes blank, until Joey Shaw stumbled in. "Did you kill Alan?" she screamed, lunging forward and grabbing Joey Shaw by the collar, pounding on him like a madwoman. "Did you record this? You wanted to drag me to hell with you, didn't you?" Joey Shaw's eyes rolled back as she choked him. In the scuffle, they both fell under my or trait. I stood in the rooftop stairwell of City General Hospital, watching the chaotic scene below, and smiled sarcastically. "It's Alan!" A cry suddenly erupted in the hospital lobby. Joey Shaw was being held down by security guards, and Sarah Wong knelt in front of the funeral parlor/chapel, her makeup ruined by tears. The moment she heard those words, her whole body seemed to be electrocuted, and she abruptly raised her head. In the doorway, the person who should have been dead stood against the light, dressed in black, his eyes cold to the extreme. I was back. This farce should end, too. Sarah Wong jumped up and ran toward me. "Al, you're not really dead. You're alive. You scared me to death, you know?" I took a step back, dodging her outstretched hand. She stood there, trembling, like a bird that had lost its nest. I looked at her, my voice soft, but each word distinct. "Dr. Wong, if you like Joey Shaw, go sit on his jury." Sarah Wong's face turned ashen, her lips trembled a few times, but she didn't utter a single word. In less than an hour, the City General Hospital Administration intervened and started the investigation. I submitted all the recordings, surveillance footage, and copies of testimonies to the Health Bureau and local media. That night, the entire internet exploded with headlines: renowned Tier 3 hospital shaken by ethical scandal, attending physician colludes with intern to murder patient, audio recording confirmed. Male intern says her husband must die, hospital faces trust crisis, medical care or murder? In-depth tracking of Alan's famed death and reporting incident, Joey Shaw was suspended from his position and was under investigation, and Sarah Wong was also forced to resign from her position as deputy director and was under ethics review board. Some cursed Joey Shaw for being insane, some denounced Sarah Wong for being cold-blooded, and some said I played it too big, but I didn't care anymore. A few days later, I met Sarah Wong on the rooftop of the City General Hospital. She was wearing a hospital gown, her face pale, her eyes staring blankly at the city below. The wind was strong, her hair was messy, and she still had an unfinished 4-needle bandage on her hand. "I thought," she said hoarsely, "you would forgive me." I didn't say anything. She walked closer to me, with that familiar humility. "You used to be the gentlest person, the person who didn't want me to be sad. Al, please don't be like this, okay? I've given up my medical license. I really know I was wrong." I looked at her, my heart a dead sea. "The old me," I said slowly, "would definitely have forgiven you. But the me now is someone who has been killed by you 102 times. Tell me, how should I forgive you?" She finally burst into tears, covered her face, and squatted down, her whole person like a festering mass of regret, drenched by the rain on the rooftop. I stood in front of her, without reaching out or offering an umbrella. I was no longer the Alan she used to know. After my divorce from Sarah Wong, I quit my job and left the city. No one knew where I went, only that in the winter of that year, a non-profit platform called Deep Line suddenly emerged. It only did one thing: expose the dark side of the medical system, anonymously reveal medical malpractice cases, and fight for justice for the victims. Half a year later, I received an unsigned letter. There were only 2 sentences in the letter. I'm not atoning for my sins, I just want to live with you, even if you never look back at me. I folded the letter and put it in the drawer, without replying. That night, it rained, and I sat in the office, looking out the window, and suddenly remembered Sarah Wong crying like a child in the rain. Once, she was the person I loved the most. Now, she is the direction I will never turn back to in this life. I don't hate you anymore, Sarah Wong, but I will never love you again either. I did it, I survived. 102 deaths. And I learned how to save myself from your hands. The end.